May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. And what good news, Nancy. Thank you so much for bringing that to us. I think we have every reason to be very, very happy about a very successful period of time. So I was thinking about the feeding of the 5,000 plus women and children. It's like they weren't counted in those days, but I'm not going there. That's not where I'm going at all. I want to talk about our church. And it was Providence, I think, that this beautiful little short collect of the day, let me just reprise that. Let your continual mercy, O Lord, cleanse and defend your church. And because it cannot continue in safety without your help, protect and govern it always by your goodness. What a beautiful prayer. What a beautiful time to pray it. And what is church anyway? Everybody knows, but I'll remind you. It's not this beautiful, incredibly sacred building. It's not that at all. And it's not any incredible building. And there are some beautiful buildings everywhere that bring the holy to us, but that's not church. You know what it is. It's you and me and the people. I've said many times, I think, that the word church is in Scripture is a translation of the Greek word ecclesia. And somehow it got translated as church, which is really probably had its own agenda, that translation, but it simply means community. That's all. A community. Either a great community or a very small community. Or, as Jesus says, just two or three of followers of Jesus gathered together. A community that's bound together by love. Love of Christ and love of one another. People gathered together seeking peace and comfort and perhaps answers to the deepest of questions that we have in our hearts. Gathered together seeking love. So often I include that little blessing at the end of the service that ends with, God is infinitely more concerned with our future than with our past. So here we are. Time to look at the future. You know, priest come and priest go. For all different kinds of reasons. I'm going to go. But we can learn from the past. And then let the past go. Even if the past were a joyous past, you can let it go and look to the future. Just remember, though, how unreliable the future can be. We certainly learned that lesson. As we set out, I became your interim rector, and we set off on a search, and we were going along, and I was supposed to be in Colorado right now, and everyone was so hopeful, looking ahead to the new future, and guess what? COVID came along. Changed everything. But priests come and priests go. And this is the way of the world. Father Kevin is coming, but Father Kevin is also going. He's leaving his congregation of 10 years. And now they will start. It's just a cycle. It's a cycle much shorter than the cycle of life, perhaps, but it is a cycle. And so our new rector has been called. In working together, you and I, with the help of a wonderful staff and the most wonderful senior warden that ever was, we've been successful. The love of your church and your commitment to her, your church. Bygones have been left to be bygones. And a new rector has been called. And a fine new rector he will be. I'm gone. It's time for you and me to say goodbye for now and look ahead to the next thing. The next thing for you and the next thing for me. It's time for you to fall in love again. It takes courage to love, you know. It takes courage. Love is a dangerous business. I'll just like to digress for a moment and tell you the story. I may have told it before from the pulpit, but I know I've told it to some of you, about a parishioner of mine in Colorado. He was the church treasurer, and he and his wife had been married for a long time, and his wife died of an illness. And he met a woman in the grief, one of those grief groups, you know, and they fell in love. And they got married. And the preacher at that wedding, you would have thought it would have been me, but it was the former rector of the church. And Father Larry preached the most beautiful sermon I think I've ever heard at a wedding. It wouldn't fit at all weddings. But the theme of the whole thing was how much courage it takes to love again. Because love is a dangerous business. You can get hurt if you fall in love. But it's time to fall in love again. And Father Kevin will have a very big challenge ahead. COVID-19 has left a huge challenge for everyone. But he's going to need a lot of help getting to know you. When COVID-19 came along, I already knew you. But he does not. So he's going to need your help in that. Because he's not going to be able to gather us all in a room and say hello. So if he knocks on your door, let him in. If he Zooms, Zoom with him. Show up in whatever way you can. Be proactive and get to know him. I only know him from a phone call I've had with him. I will get to know him more in the next few days as I tell him some things that might be helpful to him. And none of you need to be nervous about that, by the way. But anyway, I digress. But just show up in whatever way you can. Call him. Write him a letter. Show him the same kind of support you have shown me and more. Because I was just here for a while. He's going to be here for a long while, I hope. And by the way, whatever course he decides to take about COVID-19, and I don't know what that would be, but whatever course he takes, support him. It is so hard. I can't tell you how hard it has been to bear the weight of those decisions, and they're going to fall on his shoulders now. Support him in every way you can, and he will be successful. And I want to talk to you a little bit about money. You know, the thing about it is when a rector leaves a church and an interim comes in, or, you know, during that time, it's usually you look for the giving of the church to fall off rather significantly. Well, you know what? Here at St. Stephen's, that did not happen. It did not happen. Because you love your church. But now we have COVID-19. And I don't know, I hope all of you have read Roy Butler, our wonderful treasurer, his e-newsletter he wrote. about finances in these times. So, what it looks like is some people are really, really hurt by this thing that has happened. And Roy has encouraged you to help when you can. But if you're able, you could add a little extra to your support to the church. It would be very, very helpful. I just leave that with you. So I will be leaving at the end of this month. So over the next few weeks, I hope to get a chance to say goodbye to you, or to as many of you as I can. I would really look forward to that. I think there may be some plans afoot to facilitate that. Just watch this space. But I want to thank you for letting me serve you over these crazy times. Thank you for all the love and support you have given me. Check in with me. Zoom with me. There's a lot of Zooming going on. You can get there. As a matter of fact, there's going to be some Zooming going on today, right after church.